Today we're going to analyze 3 tough Catan spots and how to crush them. Keep watching. You're on stream to over 30 people watching. You're playing a cash tournament and you made it to the semifinals. If you win, you advance to the finals and you hit the money bubble and get paid. If you win the finals, then you take home a large portion of the cash prize. Your decision has a lot of money on the line. You're playing as red with an undercover account named Billy the Destroyer that's been found out. Here's the situation. Blue decided to place a defensive settlement onto the 6-11-12, locking the ore at a detriment to himself. You thought Blue was going to take the 6-9-12 double ore to have coordinated ore and wheat and trade for sheep this game, but he decided to do a defensive placement. Let's look at why he decides to do that. On red's turn, there's a good chance you're going to take the 9-4-11 wheat brick, as more wheat is useful on this high ore board and you get brick to pair with your wood. However, green in the first position will probably be placing on the 9-10 ore wheat 3-1 port, cutting you off. So essentially, blue placed a defensive settlement to induce green to cut you off on the 9-10. That is blue's plan and his reasoning to go on the 6-11-12. It's your turn now, and you have 2 minutes to place a settlement. Green does seem open to negotiating and talking. So, what do you do to get the best position here? Is there any way green wouldn't take the 9-10? I want you to pause the video and comment below what you would do. Here's a solution. You have to talk to green and tell them, hey green, if I go on the 9-4-11 and point upwards, I'll give you my starting brick. You can go on the 2-9-10 and point left. Since you act first, I'll trade you my brick for whatever you want and you can build a road cutting blue off to the 6-2-3-1 port. This way, you're going to be crushing blue in terms of the ore wheat sheep battle, as he's been cut off with no sheep and you're going to be on 2 wheat tiles with a strong port. If you go on the 9-10, you're just going to get blocked all game green. Opponents will be blocking the 8 ore and the 10 wheat constantly. Since you have the strongest setup, only you will be getting robbed. In this situation, green is heavily incentivized to take the deal and go on the 2-9-10. So, the first essential Catan tip is you can create an artificial starting free road by arranging a trade at the beginning of the game. This can let you or your opponent do an unexpected cutoff move in the beginning of the game. If you want more advanced strategy tactics like this, then I recommend check out the Catan Strategy book written by the multiple-time North American champion, Mark Oxer. This book talks a lot about intricate tournament strategies and the social element of the game, which is something I don't cover in my videos. This book also covers a lot about the fundamentals of the game, such as settlement placement and trading and advanced strategies. I'm quite confident you'll learn something. The book is rated 5 stars on Amazon, and it's over 100 pages. It's only $10, so it's pretty cheap. Here's a small sample of my favorite section. Mark Oxer is playing at a tournament, and he identified the player types as road clans, basically people who just drop endless roads. So to exploit that, he knows to not do a road building strategy and play an ore wheat sheep strategy instead. Because if you're against a road clan, they're just going to be dropping a bunch of roads, which make it a lot more difficult to win. So go check out the super cool Catan Strategy book inside the description below. And if you buy it, you're helping me out. And you can go ahead and give this to your friends as a super cool holiday gift too. This is situation number 2. You're playing a high-stakes league match against competitive players. Where would you place as red? Go ahead and pause the video and figure it out. Here's what I think happens a lot of the time. Red would go on the 3-4-8, as they have the brick port on the 8-4 and they get access to sheep, which they don't have. Now taking the 5-9-10 isn't a bad play for red, but for the video, let's just say you really want the 3-4-8. Then, it's green's turn to place. I think green can take the 5-9-10 or the 9-10-11. But let's say green takes a 9-10-11 to get access to that rare ore. Then, finally, blue goes ahead and drops a settlement onto the 4-5-11. So, let's take a look at this position. These placements aren't bad for red, but you face the danger of getting cut off to the brick port by black. Because black starts off with 2 woods and a brick, if a single 4 rolls, their hand turns into 2 roads and they can cut you off instantly onto the 8-4. Another issue is that there's a good chunk of space left on the board from the 2-5-9. Black will probably be getting there, as they start off with a road, and there's a good chance that black will be able to build to the 5-10. So, how do we improve this position as red? First, we have to talk to green and tell them how attractive the 5-9-10 spot is for us, red. It locks us the wheat, sheep, and more wood for port fuel. if we get on the 3-1 port. However, green is left with a very difficult setup, and they probably have to take the 3-4-8. This is a very difficult setup to win with. Then, blue would take the 4-5-11. So, if we take the 5-9-10, green is absolutely screwed. So, during the placements, you can put green under a lot of pressure by threatening to put a settlement under the 5-9-10, which is still a very strong spot for red. So, in exchange for not going on the 5-9-10, here's the deal we can offer green. First, you can tell them, I won't take the 5-9-10, and I'll take the 3-4-8 instead, under two conditions which are useful for both of us. Green, you must take the 5-9-10 and not the 9-10-11. And this helps us both because we prevent black from getting the strong 2-5-9 spot. And green, this is also good for you because you get more sheep onto the sheep port. My priority will be getting onto the brick port, not the sheep port. The second condition, green, you must trade us a wood for a brick at the beginning of the game. And this helps both of us because you produce more wood than brick and I get a starting road. By green taking the 5-9-10, it reduces the space by black, which solves that problem. And by green trading you a wood for a brick at the beginning of the game, it also solves the problem of you getting cut off onto the 8-4. By pushing green off from the 9-10-11 to the 5-9-10, it also takes away their ore access. So this disincentivizes green to buy development cards, which means you have less competition for the ore, wheat, sheep, largest army race. So, the second essential Catan tip is that you can gain value through extortion with defensive settlement placements, by asking for future trades or forcing opponents to place differently.
But first, help me out by subscribing. I'll be working on more strategy videos, so don't miss out.
Situation number 3. You're playing another high-stakes competitive match, and you're playing as red as the last pick. What's the play? Try and combine both lessons we previously learned and apply them in this situation. Pause the video and comment below what you would do. And actually do this, because it helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, but it also helps you out with critical thinking skills. So, here's what I would do. As red, you're very tempted to take the 3-4-11, as this gets you more wheat, which is always useful. It also gets you sheep that you don't produce, and it also gets you brick that you don't produce. There's also the brick port very close to you, and you're on the 6th brick. However, by placing on the 3-4-11, you lock blue out of wheat, and you also take away an expansion spot onto the 4-3. This is very detrimental to blue. If you place on the 3-4-11, blue is not in a good position. So here's what you tell blue. Hi blue, I'm willing to go on the 6-4-2, and I'll trade you 2 wheat for wood and a brick at the beginning of the game. Otherwise, I don't find it valuable enough to go under the 6-4-2.
And I'll go on the 3-4-11 instead.
Blue should be inclined to say yes to this deal, as if you go on the 3-4-11, blue's put in a horrible position. So, if blue says yes to that deal, what you want to do is place a settlement onto the 6-4-2 and you point your road downwards. Since you're the first to act, you can trade 2 wheat to blue, and they'll trade you a wood and a brick. And now, you have a made starting road, and you can cut off green to the sheep port instantly. However, let's play the situation where blue refuses to do the deal with you, even though they're getting 2 rare wheat. In this situation, if blue says no, then you can go ahead and talk to green. Obviously, if green loses the 6-4-2, that's a huge hit to their game also. You can tell green, I won't go on the 6-4-2. If you can give me your starting wood and brick, and I'll give you a rare sheep that you don't make, and a wheat for it. And I'm gonna go on the 3-4-11 and screw over blue, since one of you guys will be getting cut off. It's either you or green. If you give me this 2-for-2 trade, I'll go on the 3-4-11. What this does to both green and blue, it puts a lot of pressure on both players to make a better deal. Because blue doesn't want you to go on the 3-4-11, and green doesn't want you to go on the 6-4-2, you can ask very high prices as long as green and blue are bidding against each other to buy where you will place your settlement, either on the 6-4-2 or the 3-4-11. So essentially, you can extort both players, and whoever takes your offer benefits a lot. You can also jack up the price, as they'll most likely be inside of a bidding war. If you're able to say who is currently winning the bid and where you will place your settlement, you're going to be able to strike fear into the other opponent. If pulled off correctly, you can get a high price for where you place your settlement. So that's lesson number 3. Combine both these tactics of threatening to do defensive placements and asking for starting road material, you can see a huge leap in progress at the beginning of the game. Now, All 3 of these games I lost because I didn't apply the principles I was teaching you just now. Before you leave, I want to leave you with a quote. I don't fear the players that can beat me today, tomorrow, or next week. However, I fear the players that are constantly learning and can beat me in 1 year or a few years from now. There's truly so much depth to this game that people just don't see. So if you learned something, I'd love it if you could drop a like since it helps me tremendously in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn some advanced strategies for placements, then click on this video. Or if you want to watch me play against the USA National Champion, then click on this video. Anyways, I'm Dylighted, and I hope you learned something.